Oilers get the job done against the Carolina Hurricanes in convincing fashion. 6-1 is your final. Make it 5 in a row for the Orange and Blue. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Street Postgame Show on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola with you. Matt Kassian also along for the ride, and YouTube Trev, of course. Let's get Cass on here, coming at you live from the EST Satellite Studios, a.k.a. Casa Gazzola. And we're going to break down what was a very good night in Oil Country. As always, hit us up via the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube, or you can also text us 70218-9999. A big Oil victory. And Cass, before I get into the scoring summary and all of that good stuff, that was really just a good night and a satisfying victory for the Edmonton Oilers, right?
Yeah, meaty win. It was a meaty win, and it was one that wasn't really ever in doubt. Like they someone talked about what do we think or how do we feel if the Oil have a hot start, and it was fire.
Yeah,
it was pure fire. Right out of the gate, a couple goals, and they didn't ever really look back. There was actually a little pushback early on from Carolina, where I was like, oh, Carolina could maybe work their way back into this one, but got snuffed out pretty quick. And yeah, it was I don't want to say like the second half of the game was overly entertaining because it was in the bag, but it sure still was entertaining at the same time. Just watching absolutely stomp on the Carolina Hurricanes. So yeah, it was a good night.
That was definitely vengeance for what happened in Carolina a couple of weeks ago. So the Oilers get the 6-1 victory, make it 5 straight wins, 10 wins on the year, 10-12-1 is Edmonton's record. Let's get into that scoring summary to get you up to speed on everything that went down in this one. In the first period, it would be Ryan McLeod from Warren Fogle and Matthias Janmark to get the party started. It would be Fogle picking up his 6th assist, Janmark his 2nd, and McLeod's 2nd goal. He's on a heater, Cass, just 28 seconds into the game. Oh, by the way, 41 seconds in, it was Matthias Ekholm on a great feed from Connor McDavid, and Evan Bouchard also making a nice pass over to, actually his nice play was coming up on the next goal. We're going to talk about that, but Bouchard had himself a pretty good night offensively and defensively for sure. And then Zack Hyman would make it 3-0 from Matthias Janmark and Evan Bouchard. That was the play, Cass, where you and I were sitting there going, oh, Bouchard, you were in the middle of talking about how good he is offensively and how we were like, oh, I wish he could just be that steady defensively. Well, he was good defensively, but that play he made on that 3rd goal was a thing of beauty, was it not?
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The patience at the blue line, the waiting it out, keeping the puck in and moving the puck. And I know it seems almost like a simple play when he just chips the puck in.
Yeah.
And it gets moved down low, but the patience to walk that blue line in a little bit of a spin move to keep the puck in, keep it onside, and then to chip it in when everyone else was coming the other direction, which creates space down low ultimately for Zack Hyman to walk out, which another beautiful play by him on that goal as well. Just well earned, taking that hard to the net. But yeah, it was a stunning play. And on that, I can't remember if it was goal, would that have been goal 4? I think where he had the nice little touch play. I don't think he ends up getting an assist on it, but a touch play, like just taps it behind him to transition the other way. It was another beautiful play. And
yes,
and we were talking about it, and we've talked about like when the Oilers were struggling, we called out Evan Bouchard all the time. Right. Defensive zone mistakes, mishaps, things he was doing wrong. So tonight I'm going to take the opposite route in that he was absolutely fantastic tonight. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really good in the offensive zone. And that made it easier for him to be better in the defensive zone. So huge night from him. Not like that wins him any more Norris votes, I think. But yeah, hey, it was a good night, and it was fun to watch when the puck was on his stick tonight.
That first Hyman goal coming at 5:46. Hyman would add to the Oilers' lead, his 2nd of the night, 14th of the year at 14:03 from Nugent Hopkins and McDavid. I believe that was the goal that you were alluding to, where there was the quick stick by Bouchard, where it was almost like he fish hooked it back, and then that got the play going the other way through the neutral zone. A couple of nice passes from Nugent Hopkins and McDavid, and then Hyman tucks in his 2nd of the night. 4-zip Oilers after 1, even though they were outshot in that first period, 16-11. In the second, it would be Edmonton adding to its lead. Warren Fogle from Matthias Janmark, the shot block from Janmark. Fogle goes in on the breakaway. Wasn't the prettiest breakaway goal, but he jammed it in, and that's all that matters. That one coming at 2:49 to make it 5-zip for the Oilers. And then to the third period we go. The shutout bid for Stuart Skinner was ended by Jordan Stahl. Jacob Slavin with the assist, that one coming at 7:05 on the 3-on-1. I think it was Stahl fending off Connor Brown, who's trying to back check on him, and then he tucks home a nice feed from Slavin to make it 5-1. And then Hyman gets the hat trick on a really nice play by Connor McDavid. Hyman's third of the night, 15th of the season. McDavid with 24 assists on the season now. That goal coming at 9:35. The Oilers did manage to chase Pyotr Kochetkov, however you want to pronounce it. We've heard two different pronunciations. Jocelyn, again, I'm sorry. I know you're a Canes fan and a stickler for proper pronunciation. They chased him 5:46 in, 3 goals on 6 shots, and it would be Antti Ranta the rest of the way. The Oilers do get outshot by the Canes 39-34 in this one, but ultimately the only thing that mattered was the final goal total as the Oilers get the 6-1 victory tonight. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us, and the nasty chat going strong if you're watching on YouTube. Face-offs, Oilers 52.9% to 47.1. The power play goes 0 for 1. The PK goes 2 for 2. Hits 22-19 in favor of the Canes. Block shots 17-8 in favor of the Oilers. 16 giveaways for Edmonton to 7 for Carolina. Edmonton with 23 takeaways to Carolina's 13. Cass, some of your takeaways from tonight's 6-1 Oilers victory.
Yeah, well, I mean, my biggest takeaway is that it was a beginning to end dominance. Ultimately, they score a couple goals early. They come out of the gate firing when we didn't know, was there going to be rust? Were they going to be slow out of the gate? Were they going to show signs of not being able to execute, not being able to play up to game speed if Carolina was really pressing early? And they dealt with all of that. So I think I told you, Tommy, I think I'm back on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I think I'm absolutely on the bandwagon. So it was just, actually, here's a big takeaway. All even strength goals. Really like that. That I think was a big part. You had your 5-on-5 game going, found a way around the net, found a way to score, was beautiful to see.
780-218-9999. We're working on the Echo. Cass, did you mute your YouTube channel? That might be it. Because we have the YouTube chat going as well. So does it sound better, Trev? Let me know. Should be fine.
Yep. Now. Yeah. That sounds better.
I think we got it.
I was also muted, so let us know now if they're still echoing.
Do you have your YouTube channel muted? Double check that. Sometimes that happens. All right.
That's not,
keep us posted. Keep us posted. It should be okay. I've got the new mic going. It seems to be better. Let's get to some text here. It's this one from the Wolf. Good evening. The Wolf says, maybe it's the 6 o'clock logger, but did anyone else notice how fast the Oilers caught up to the Carolina puck carriers whenever they got possession tonight? Good signs. That one from the Wolf. Cass, if I said to you that the Hurricanes looked like the Oilers in the first few weeks of the season in how they played tonight, is that a fair assessment? It just, nothing was going Carolina's way. And I think a lot of it had to do with how well the Oilers were playing against the Canes. Yeah.
First, I tinkered with the mic setting, so let me know if there's still an echo. I can tinker with it again. Okay. Hopefully that fixed the problem. They did. It was a lot given up around their net. If you look at a lot of the Edmonton Oilers goals, a lot given up in transition where they were caught going the wrong way. And for example, on the Ekholm goal, just defensive lapses. So Seth Jarvis, off a face-off, loses Ekholm, takes a couple steps to the middle of the ice, turns his back to Ekholm, does one of those TV power turns that we talk about, and opens up a lane for Ekholm to step to the net, and Jarvis can't recover in time. He sees him, but he's 2 or 3 steps away, and by then it's too late. And I think, just using that play as an example, that something like that is what absolutely crushed the Oilers early on, that they just found ways to let guys free in the defensive zone, found ways off faceoffs, found ways off the rush, and just had a bunch of issues. So, I think it's fair to say that they looked like the early season Oilers tonight.
Yeah, it was a tough night all around for the Carolina Hurricanes, and they'll have a chance to atone tomorrow night in Calgary. It was funny because we had Mike Maniscalco on the pregame show, and I said, Mike texted me during the third period, and he goes, "Oh boy, did not see this coming." And I was like, well, you know what? They can go in tomorrow and just beat up on the Flames, and I think everybody would be okay with that. So hopefully that provided a little bit of solace for Mike, who was on the radio call tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, let's dip into the inbox here. This one says, the only thing tonight more perfect than the Oilers win is Tommy and Cass's hair. That's on point. Let's go, Oil baby. The real, not so Slim Shady. Oh, too kind. Cass's hair looks great tonight. That's for sure. Coach Mike says, excellent effort. Oilers can't take the foot off the gas. Minnesota will be playing their 3rd in 4 and back-to-back, and Jersey will be 4 and 6 and on back-to-back. Must wins on Friday and Sunday. That one from Coach Mike. Cass, did it surprise you how sharp the Oilers were? Because number one on Game Changers earlier today on the pregame show was rust. And I don't think we saw any of that, especially considering how quickly they struck in that first minute.
Yeah, I think to me it was, I don't want to say it was surprising. We just didn't know what we were going to see,
Right?
Because they have the heater, they're on a winning streak, and then it's like you have just such a long break that you could just let momentum fall flat, and it didn't. So I guess a little surprised, pleasantly and happily surprised that they pot one that early. And then the question was, okay, well, was this just, they had one good shift, or are they going to be able to sustain and keep this going? They get another one and they just keep absolutely rolling with it. So I don't want to say it's like full surprise, but it certainly was great to see that they were able to step out of that break and just jump right into it. I mean, as I said, I'm back on the bandwagon, Tommy. I'm right back on it.
You're back on. I love how you're telling people that in the press box today. That was kind of funny, actually. All right. 780-218-9999. How's the audio? Is it much better? I'm seeing.
We'll try this out. I'm tinkering with the settings.
It's good right now. Don't touch it
now.
Yeah. You guys are good.
Okay. I'm looking at the nasty chat and I'm going, I hope it's okay now. I hope it's okay. Let's go to the inbox one more time. 780-218-9999. This one's from Connor from YouTube, who says, that was a great game. Any breakdowns? Stu was ready. Defense looked better. I like the look of the lines. My only thing, I don't think the dry line has the speed. All the lines kill with speed. I just think that line is too much finish, not enough speed/setup. I think that's why they don't look killer. That's from Connor from YouTube. The Draisaitl line didn't get any offense going tonight. Cass, what are you seeing from them, or are you concerned, or was it just everyone else was playing well that line was able to kind of coast through the game?
Well, I mean, they won 6-1, Tommy. So
yeah, I
know. I'm not concerned. I'm not freaking out about it. Will at some point they need to be the line that drives offense in a game? Yes, of course. Right. I think the question of speed on that line, I think that's a fair question to say. Do they have enough speed that's going to enable the ice to open up for some of the playmaking and for Draisaitl's playmaking? I think that's a fair question to ask, but not something today I think you want to jump all over that line for. Again, you as a team, you scored 6 5-on-5 goals. So I don't know. I don't even want to pick that apart.
No,
I'll pick that line apart when they lose and that line doesn't do anything. But,
right.
Not right now.
In the third period, and you and I were talking about this on our walk back to the satellite studios from the arena. Connor Brown did hit the post off of a Vander Kane rebound. And it was just, and Cass, what you said to me was he's just going to need one to go in off his butt or when he's not looking, and then maybe he'll get going again. But the fact of the matter is, no, he did not score. Yes, Carmen, who texts in via the nasty chat, says he did hit the post. I think that's good. If he gets the offense going, fantastic. If you want to nitpick, the one thing I would say about Brown tonight is he got beat literally, like just strong-armed basically by Jordan Stahl on the one Kane's goal. But tonight is a night where you focus on the positive. But if you want to be that guy, and I just went that route, that was the one play where Brown, I was like, a bigger guy kind of beat him off the puck. So
yeah, pushed him off, and it ends up ruining the old donut from Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this text comes in from Mike, who's in Calgary. Says, boys, huge W and with depth. Some of the big dogs weren't on the board, and that's okay. After a 5-day break, I'm thinking they are back. Well, Mike from Calgary, Cass from Edmonton is back on the bandwagon, and he might be right there with you. EM Utility Locating Matt says, I don't like to complain after a win, but I'm getting pretty tired of good plays dying on Brown's stick. Understandable, but maybe he gets that ugly, greasy goal and he gets going. It sounds like that's something that he might need, and he did come close today. But yeah, Cass, we've talked a lot about it. His season has not been ideal at all. But on a good night, we'll stick with the positives. This one says, it's from Greg and Lacombe, says, the broadcast pumped up Paul Coffey and his impact on this defense as a big reason for the 5-game win streak. Is this mostly on Paul? If so, in what ways? That's from Greg in Lacombe. Cass, what would you say to that?
Well, you have to give him credit for some of it. I still think ultimately it's the players, and the players are actually going out and executing. But if he's enabled them to do that and created an environment where the defensemen in particular feel like they can make plays and they're comfortable with him, then you have to give him credit, don't you? Like, right. They turned it around. Now, again, is it all coaching, or is it the players and they were playing so poorly before that they finally just got over that confidence hump and they've been able to just mentally break through that brick wall that was just so stubborn. I'm hesitant to say it's all coaching and all Coffey, but hey, he came in, they're playing way better. So we have to give him at least some of the credit. Yeah. If not a good chunk of it. Like, whatever he's saying to the guys, clearly seems to be working.
The thing I've heard about Paul Coffey's his method, let's call it that, is a very reassuring and positive and enabling, if you will. And Matthias Ekholm kind of talked about it pregame today. And you heard it on the pregame show as well, where he's like, you don't want to not listen to the coach, but sometimes you need to let your instincts take over. Maybe Coffey is good at communicating that, Cass. If the players are saying he's an enabler, but in a good way, he wants you to use your natural skills or abilities or play to your strengths. And if he has a way to make that connection and help you realize that potential or tap into your natural ability and can communicate in a way that it resonates, then that's great. That's great.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a big part, I think, of what good coaches do is they pull out the best in people and they enable them. And you're not always going to completely reconstruct and rebuild a player. Like, the players at this point, generally, you have what you're best at is probably what you're always going to be best at. Now you need to be able to improve other areas of your game, to smooth it out, to learn different things, to learn, how to think on the ice. But your guns are still your guns, and you have to stick to them, and you have to stick to what makes you a good hockey player. Again, just because you're an offensive D-man in junior doesn't mean you're going to be an offensive D-man in the NHL, and you have to reinvent and work. But the tools that made you a good offensive D-man, you have to purpose those. Because if it's let's say if it's your skating ability, for example, well, you can still be a really good defensive player and use your skating ability. Now you're using it slightly differently, but if you are enabling players to be able to use that and use the natural instincts, use what makes you good, to not break the mold of what you are as a player, but to not be pigeonholed at the same time and confined into one little thing. Right. That can go a long way to pulling the best out of people.
780-218-9999 or Nasty Chat. We're going to touch the Nasty Chat here. It's Coyote Steve. And Coyote Steve says, the Oilers have gone back to man-on-man, which also makes forwards come back more. Now, Cass, you and I were talking about systems a little bit today, defensive zone. What are you seeing?
They're not man-on-man. They haven't gone back to man-on-man. No, no, they have not gone back to man-on-man. They are still playing zone, and it looks very much the same. Now, are they executing? Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we saw that early on. As I said, I think after the second goal, Carolina had a little bit of a push. Yep. And this is when we were talking about it during the game. We saw a few times Edmonton collapsing. We saw the system the zone system, and we saw it function how it was supposed to, where ultimately players go, moving out of their zone, adjusted back to the net, slid back to protect the front of the net and let someone else deal with their area. They're very much not playing man-on-man. Now, I understand where sometimes it can almost look like it on rushes, because on rushes, you're not playing zone on rushes. Like rush against, you're more playing man-on-man when an attack's coming at you. Now you have to switch. You're not always staying with the same guy. It's not like I just have my one side of the ice and I'm only going to stay here. But defensive zone, they absolutely are still playing a zone defense in the defensive zone.
I think the play where you and I just started talking about it was McDavid was actually the only Oiler player behind Edmonton's net.
And they had four
covering
guys
his
in
guy.
front.
And they had 4 guys in front.
They had a demon on the post, a demon in the post, and the 2 wingers collapsed back to the house inside the slot.
But it's good to see them actually executing on their D-zone structure, and that was certainly something that was not happening in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. All right, let's go back into the inbox, 780-218-9999. This one says, Skinner looks much better and poised, tracking the puck well and in position. What are your thoughts? Matt Kassian.
Well, it's easy to look a lot better when they're not just scoring backdoor tap-ins. Like we haven't seen one of those in the last little while, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, he looks more confident. Yeah, his save percentage is improving, and the team around him has been supporting him in that. And that just builds confidence. I mean, the confidence builds confidence. That good defensive play that his team has been giving him supports that and enables him to play better, to make those saves. So I agree. He has looked absolutely way better.
Yeah.
Way better. And I don't think it's just Stuart Skinner. I think it's the team around him too that's really helping and making his play, come back to life.
Library Pat chimes in, giving us the thumbs up on the auto. Thank you, Library Pat, and says they're back for sure. My only question is, did they dig too deep of a hole? I'm hopeful that they can climb out of it. Library Pat, the hole is deep. Now, they did just have 5 full days off between games, and they do have games in hand, 2 to 3 on most teams around the National Hockey League. Now at 10 wins, 12 losses, 1 in OT, I think maybe we're starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. We're joking about being back on the bandwagon and all that, but the focus still has to stay relatively short-sighted, right? Like one game at a time. Stop scoreboard watching. If you're looking at the standings, leave it alone for a few weeks and then see what kind of sorts itself out. Is that a fair strategy? Do teams go about it like that? What do you think?
Yep. They're absolutely. They had no choice but to go about it with don't look at the standings mentality. Don't look at the standings. Just worry about what we're doing every single day. Worry about what we're doing in practice. Worry about what we're doing in a game. Worry about how we're getting better tomorrow. Or today, and then tomorrow, worry about how we're getting better tomorrow.
Yep.
That very much has to be the mentality and should continue to be the mentality. But there is light, as you said, at the end of the tunnel. Light at the end of the tunnel where, as I said, I think I'm hopping back on the bandwagon.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say they're finishing first, but to say that if they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to lose some games. They're going to lose some games. It's going to happen.
Yep.
But if they keep generally playing the way that they have been playing the last 6 games, for the most part, and I'm going to say 6 because I think they did some good things in prior to. Now they lose some of those games because of execution issues, but they have generally been moving in that right direction. I think they at least get a wild card spot. They are moving that way. Just because I have to comment on this in the nasty chat, Bitterman says the Hurricanes do play man-on-man. No, they don't. No, definitely do not. Now, it may have looked like that at times tonight because they were absolutely lost in the defensive zone. And
they were.
But they 1,000,000% play a aggressive zone defense in their own zone. And if there's one team that maybe could play a man-on-man in the league, it might be the Carolina Hurricanes because of the strength and the skating skill and ability of their defense from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Orlov on the third pair, they might be able to do it, but they do not. They play a zone.
After Edmonton's 5th straight victory, they now have 21 points in 23 games. If you're wondering how that fares in terms of the overall playoff picture as of December 6th in the Western Conference, they are 6 points back of the St. Louis Blues. The Oilers have 2 games in hand of basically every Western Conference game for the rest of the year, or at least until the Oilers, if they can get themselves back into the mix. These Western Conference games are 4-pointers, and they have no one to blame but themselves. And so I understand where Library Pat's coming with that. Did they dig too big of a hole? That was a big hole. That 2-9-1, that was a terrible hole to be in. But the 7-3 stretch here in the last 10 goes a long way in starting to get that belief back. And I think that's important. You can see the confidence in the group on the ice, the better focus on detail and execution, Cass, like you've been alluding to. And then the results, if they continue to do that, will take care of themselves. And I'm sure we'll see them slowly climb out of this really deep hole. Calgary, who's played 2 more games than the Oilers and plays tomorrow against the same Canes team, is 2 points back or 2 points up on Edmonton. The Nashville Predators, who are 8-2 in their last 10, are 5 points up on Edmonton. So keep it myopic and build from there. Okay. I wanted to get to this one. I saw Carmen put it in the nasty chat, and also someone else mentioned it. Elliot Friedman was talking about the Oilers not calling up Jack Campbell until after this homestand, Cass. And you and I were talking about it today because, there was some reports, and Bitumen says Stauffer reported it as well, or talked about it as well, that, maybe Campbell won't be getting called up necessarily right away, as opposed to what we heard potentially happening at some point this week. And the first thing I said to you today when we started talking about it in the press box was, I don't see a rush to get Jack Campbell up here unless they've made a promise to him, Cass. How do you think is the best way to go about this situation right now?
Yeah, if you made a promise to him and you said, we're going to call you back up, we promise, you probably should stick to it. Yeah. I'm a fan of that. If you're going to get him back up, if you said that that's what you're going to do, that's what you should do. Now, if they didn't say that, I don't think there's a reason to pull him back up here right away. If you did, stick to what you said. And that's just, let's just say, more from an ethical, trying to do what you say you're going to do type of thing, which you want. And even from a dressing room standpoint with other players, like if they all know that that's what was told to him and what you said to him, follow through with it. So, it'll be interesting to see if they do or not. We'll see. He's going to be back at some point. It's just a matter of when. And as you said, if they told him it was going to be at X date, then it should be at X date.
That's kind of a respect for a veteran, right? Like that clout, and he certainly is one. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I personally didn't think there needed to be a rush unless they made that promise to him. And someone else chimed in and said, when do you think Calvin Pickard might play if he's going to be the backup on this homestand? Cass, they have a bunch of games, obviously 5 more games left on this homestand. They get they get New Jersey Sunday afternoon. And then Chicago comes to town, and then they wrap things up against the 2 Florida teams next week. Do you slide Pickard in there? You've got days between every single one of these games. Do you need to before you start to worry about wearing out Stu Skinner?
Yeah, I think that might be one where you have to make a decision every day on it, really. Like you have to evaluate where Stuart Skinner is, how he's been playing, how his energy levels are, how the team's been playing. Because it is a lot of hockey. Now he just had a big break. You just had a whole bunch of rest to where you might be able to run him a little bit. Now, do you want to work someone else in? Maybe. Yep.
I would think so.
To keep guys sharp. But it kind of depends, because what you don't want to have happen is you to be on an absolute heater and then to throw in a backup goalie and you end up dropping that game, right? Like that's the tricky part of this. So, you probably run Stuart Skinner a few more, maybe midway through. You try to mix in one. I have to take a peek here again just to see what the whole next chunk looks like. So I'm going to pull up the schedule and then I'll tell you where I think he goes in.
Okay, sounds good. A couple of texts to get to. Panner's Pancake says Skinner can't play every second night. Hontorio Mome says, Tom, how are you not talking about your bro Yanni? And he's in reference to Matthias Janmark. Matthias Janmark, by the way, the most important bottom 6 player, according to me, before the impact that Nick Bjugstad had when he came in from the Coyotes last year. But Janmark had a big night with 3 assists plus 2, 1 hit, 1 shot in 12:30 of work. Yes, Janmark had a great night. I'm glad you brought that up, Ontario Momes. He just goes about his business quietly. It's not, the flashiest, but he gets the job done, and I appreciate that. And I like how others are bringing that up. So yes, Matthias Janmark deserves a tip of the cap for a good performance tonight, helping the Oilers with a 3-point night. He and Zack Hyman each had 3. McDavid as well with a 3-point night, and Bouchard another multi-point night for him with 2. He continues to stay hot. He had 10 points in his last 8, so make it 12 in 9 for Evan Bouchard. Someone actually, I wanted to see, I had kind of marked here, and someone made a comment just kind of like, when is the Nuge going to get going? I think he's been okay. He had an assist tonight. I thought he looked all right. He only has 5 goals on the season. Cass, are you seeing anything with the Nuge or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins that you're like, I should be worried about him outside of not being able to bury goals?
No, not being able to bury goals. He had the one chance tonight. I think he had one grade A tonight. I'd have to double check on that to see if he actually did. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to say he's been playing poorly because I don't think he's been playing poorly.
He's not having a 100-point season. He does. No, he's not having.
But we didn't expect him to have a 100-point season.
No,
and I don't think anyone should have expected him to have another 100-point season. But is he capable of putting the puck in a little bit more? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But he hasn't been bad. He hasn't been bad. He hasn't been detrimental. But it's easier to say that about guys when they're winning, right? Yeah. Because it's like, well, if they don't win tonight and he doesn't do anything, he hasn't scored a little bit. Well, then, yeah, we're probably going to jump all over him for that. But it's easy to not worry about it when they win 6-1 and get 6 5-on-5 goals.
Yeah. Nugent-Hopkins, if you're wondering, 5 goals, 14 assists in 23 games this season. 780-218-9999 is the number to text us or via the nasty chat. Let's bring in YouTube Trev. Trev, what did you think of the game tonight, pal?
I thought it was a great game. It was nice. I'm not gonna lie. I opened a 6 o'clocker lager. There's 3. I think there's 3 left in the fridge. I kind of snooched one, so I hope that's okay. But the game was great. I had the whole crib to myself. I sat back on the couch, and just like that, there was 2 goals scored. So lots of goals. That's what I'm here for. I love the high offense games. Those are always way more fun. Stuart Skinner was, you guys were talking about it, his play as of late, like he hasn't had to be lights out, like he hasn't had to make any crazy saves because the team in front of him has just been, just so good. So there's no tap-ins. We're not seeing any of that. The sticks and lanes are just great. McDavid, how fun was that to watch? He was absolutely buzzing. Just super entertaining. So Draisaitl, as far as, I don't know, when everyone else is clicking, it's okay if he has an off night. So I'm not too upset with that. It's rare when you get all 4 lines, chugging along. So all in all, just a great game. And Zack Hyman, that was also sweet. So it was good to see. It was a good game. They looked really good. It was, I'd argue, that has to be one of their better performances of the season. It was sweet. It was so good to see. So yeah, I'm pumped.
A very satisfying win. The Juice. Oh my God, I haven't heard from the Juice in forever. Tom, are you doing the post-game show from the cooler at the Pint? No, but that would be an interesting place to do that. I have had a few cooler pops at the Pint though. Rick and Alvin and Mark and the whole crew out there. Carl, always great to me. And no, we are at the satellite studios inside Casa Gazzola. That's where we're at tonight. This text comes in and says, no forwards under 10 minutes in ice time. I like how Knobloch runs his lines. Cass, when everybody's contributing, it's easy to roll out 4 lines, 6 D-men, and trust your goaltender, is it not?
Yep. Much easier. Those games were more fun to play in a lot of ways as a 3rd or 4th liner because you knew you're going to actually get on the ice and you're going to be on the ice late if you needed, and there's going to be lots of opportunity. But from an overall, and I know they just had a break, but you are heading into a busy stretch of games where you're playing every second night and having nights where you are able to lean more on those players because you have the lead and you're not needing to run McDavid's line out there every second shift, or Draisaitl's. You're not relying on just two lines. So it's important, especially heading into a stretch of games where you're playing a lot, to have those nights. And it's good to see. Good for those players, their confidence too, their ability to improve on things. I mean, if you're looking at the whole, like, oh, we want to develop players, having nights like this is important. To be able to do that. Now, Broberg not in the lineup. If he was in the lineup, they would have won 10-1 for sure, without question, because he should win the Hart Trophy this year, based on some of our nasty chat comments that I have read that have come in. So unfortunate he wasn't out there, because he would have had more minutes to play tonight, and maybe that sates his appetite a little bit. Probably not, but maybe a little bit. But it's good. It's good to get those guys out there. Good to have them playing. Good to have them involved, and they feel like they're involved. In a lot of ways, Fogle, with him scoring, with McLeod scoring, with those guys being involved in that, and getting on the score sheet. Hey, everybody loves to win. And everyone loves to be a part of those wins and to feel like they contributed. And sometimes, like tonight, to actually contribute on the score sheet. So it's good. Easier for Knobloch just to get everyone out and involved.
Justin texts in, and he sent a photo, and he was rocking his Edmonton Sports Talk hat at the game. Looks great, Justin. Thank you for sending that. Really appreciate the support. Excellent stuff. And this one from Spency 5 Sensi. Big game. How many 6 o'clocker loggers were enjoyed in oil country tonight? 500. And then Greg says, Trev, are you slurring your words? How many 6 o'clocker loggers did you say you had? They're flying off the shelves. Thank you, everybody. All the nasties out there. Unbelievable, Cass. We got to get that bad boy out to some bars. And the fact that people are buying it and enjoying it, which is the most important thing, is so cool to see. So I love it. And Cass, I thought that Trev sounded just fine, even though he probably had a few more than
I was going to say, I was like, I read that too. I was like, oh gosh, was I slurring? My bad.
No, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah. But thank you for picking up the 6 o'clock. It's a hot beer right now. And more is on the way for sure. What would you describe it as, Cass? Because you've enjoyed it a couple of times now.
Yeah. It's an easy drinking lager, and it has a great finish to it, which is one of, for me, it's like if I want a really light beer, or like a lighter beer, that finish is so important to me, because it's like I want to sip on it, I want to be able to enjoy it, and I'm not going to be absolutely hammering them. It's just like, no, I want to sip on it and taste it and enjoy it. And to me, the finish on those is great. And that I was worried going in, I was concerned going in. I'm like, I really hope this doesn't suck, and it doesn't suck. It's just it's easy. It's easy. Like it's not overly complex. It's not like it's super hoppy, which sometimes really hoppy is good. Sometimes I really like that, but it's just easy. It's clean, and with a very clean, dry finish, which if I'm having a longer, I love it. So it was great.
Well said, sir. Well said. Brett Kellington says, still undefeated in the 6 o'clocker lager era. Just saying. Brent, good point. Good point. Nicely done. I like that a lot. This one from Lick Fury says, our fourth line would get pushed around if the Oilers make the playoffs. Even with Holloway coming back at some point, I feel we need to get heavier on the bottom. And Cass, they're using what they've got right now, but I think that there is an awareness that there needs to be some adds come deadline time. And yes, the bottom six would need to be better. And I think they'd like to add another defenseman. So even though we're still, about 35 games away from the trade deadline, I think that is something that will be on the radar and is not lost on management.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But you have some other things that aren't lost on them in areas that they'd like to add to as well. So it's gonna be what makes the most sense and what can we get most cost effectively to try to help our team get better. But it is something they're aware of, and I think it is an issue. You want a little bit more bite to that bottom six. There's not a lot of bite there. And if you are able for a reasonable price to add something, you look to do it. Absolutely, you look to do it. Now, who's going to be available? What's out there? I mean, that's Kenny Holland's job to work the phones and in the scouting department as well, the pro scouting department, to say this is someone that could fit, that brings that to us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There is lots of time before the trade deadline, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to sort some of that out, at least right now.
Yeah, there is that awareness. And Lick Fury's right. The bottom six probably needs an ad, and that'll be on the radar come deadline time. Or if they make a trade before then, we'll see what happens here with Jack Campbell. We'll see if anything happens with Philip Broberg after all the news that we saw yesterday and even today. It was a weird day at the rink, Cass, and we talked about it. Like, at first, we were told Broberg would speak. We waited, and then that didn't happen. And so it's some frustration. And I see some text coming in via the nasty chat about the potential for him getting sent down. I haven't checked any tweets. I'm not on Twitter right now, or X as it's called. But if they did that, if this is true, because I think a few reporters have put it out there potentially, but if they were to send Broberg down, would that be totally retaliatory, or how would you think that would be perceived?
I mean, it might be perceived as retaliatory by the player and his agent, but it doesn't have to be. If he's not playing here, you want him playing, and you want him developing because you care about his development. And if you're doing that, you want him playing. And if you're setting him down, it's so that he can play 20 minutes a night and be a good defenseman and continue to build confidence and to work on his game. So, could it be viewed as a player as being retaliatory? Of course it could. If you internally are, and I'm going to use the same word, or expression, if you're being all poopy pants inside, even if you're maybe not vocalizing it to your teammates, but if you're really struggling with it, well, yeah, you might view that as a slight. It might be perceived slight, even if the actual objective is we want to make sure you're playing so that when you do have to go in, you're going to be sharp. It could be perceived as that. But I mean, I haven't heard anything either. I don't imagine they're rushing out to do that. But I mean, at some point, if they keep winning and he's not playing, at some point you want him in the lineup. So yeah, you might have to.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. We're just awaiting some clips to play for you from the Oilers 6-1 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes. I suck at picking. Text in. Good to hear from I suck at picking. Some great memes for sure. Great follow on X, or formerly known as Twitter. And I suck at picking says, this was how the 2006 Game 7 was supposed to go in my mind. Man, we're getting closer and closer to 20 years since that game.
Oh, it's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. My wife found a gray hair today. I know you can't see it here, but she's like, you have a gray hair. That's first one on your head. I have lots in my beard, but she's like, that's the first one on your head. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. So yeah, 20 years. Holy smokes.
20 years. Wow. YouTube, Trevor, are you seeing anything from clips or no?
I think they might be drinking some 6 o'clocker loggers right now because they are taking their sweet time. Probably. Nothing yet.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, we'll get those for you when we can. Tom Gazzola, Matt Kassian, YouTube Trev with you. The Oilers 6-1 winners over the Carolina Hurricanes. If you want to text us, 780-218-9999 is the number. Or if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, we appreciate it. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We just hit 6.1 thousand subscribers. We're continuing to build this bad boy up. The nasty chat going strong. Huntario Momes chimes in with, Broberg literally got handed a spot in training camp last year and was invisible. I have zero sympathy for him. And Cass, you actually replied and said, yep.
And he had all kinds of opportunity through training camp as well this year to show something, to show that big next step, to have an impact. And he didn't do much with it. And if he wanted to break and force his way in, that was his opportunity to do so, because he had plenty of it. Like he played a lot, had a lot of minutes, could have showed a lot, and it was just kind of like, it was okay. It was just okay, and it wasn't enough to force the issue. So I don't sympathize with it. I mean, I sympathize in that I know that it's a hard situation to be in, and I sympathize that you feel you want that opportunity and it's not there right now, and that's frustrating, and you want to contribute and want to be involved. I sympathize for him for that, because it's a tough space to be emotionally, mentally. But as far as his actual play goes, I don't sympathize, because he hasn't earned it. He has not earned it. He has not forced it. We're not sitting here talking about how can you not play him, right? We're sitting here talking about, although some people are like, oh, just trade Kulak and put him in so he can develop. It's like, well, no. You don't want to. He hasn't made that an option. He hasn't. He hasn't forced it enough. when he did little opportunities. And we talked about this. You and I talked about this. We talked about it on Two Guys and a Goalie. Dusty talked about it in the morning. You've talked about it in the Oil Stream. Like, it's been talked about, is that in training camp and early season is he needed to be absolutely lights out for as much as he could.
Yeah.
And that would have forced the issue. It would have forced them to be at that 6th man instead of that 7th man. And he didn't do it. Did not do enough. And it has him on the outside looking in. And I can't sympathize for that side of it. Again, sympathize with the emotions he's probably feeling. I know that that's hard.
Yep.
But
you've been through it.
I've been through it. Play hasn't been there.
Yep. That's fair. Okay. I want to get to this because it does relate to the Broberg thing. And Lion T says the Oilers need to be better in development and drafting. You and I talked about a little bit, Cass, on the pregame show. Lion T follows up with such a shame that so far none of Holland's picks are contributing to the team if they really want Broberg to be better. We were starting to see Holloway seem to find it a bit. And listen, it was one game in Seattle where he was the best player from an Oilers standpoint for sure. And then he got hurt crashing into the boards against the Islanders the very next game, which wasn't good. We're seeing Ryan McLeod. He scored a nice goal to start things off today. That was good. And
well, he's let's just jump in right. Can I jump in right there?
Absolutely. Okay.
Ryan McLeod is an everyday NHL player.
Yes.
You have developed him to the point where he is an everyday NHL player. He is an NHL caliber player. He wouldn't clear waivers. Someone would pick him up. He is an NHL player. Now, he might not have developed or turned into a top 6 NHL player, but you don't always know if that's going to happen, even with high draft picks. He is an NHL player. You have developed him.
Yep. Simple as that.
Yep.
Steven says Holloway's made of glass. I don't know. What did he have? Shoulder injuries. He had a hand injury.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. And then now it's a lower body. Ahmed says, all you media people need to apologize about what you said about the coaching change.
Well, Ahmed, I will not.
I won't either.
It still may have been like, you can't, because it's not like you came in and changed a whole bunch of stuff. You can't clearly say that it is just that.
Yeah.
Now, could it factor into it and be a part of it? Yeah, of course. Yep, of course. And could you be right? And could at some point we need to apologize for it? Maybe. Not yet.
But Cass, and this is not a slight against Chris Knobloch or Paul Coffey.
No.
It's just that the team played so poorly, performed and executed so poorly that it cost their coach the job, or two coaches their job. And we're talking, there's a media conglomerate, let's call it, a gaggle of media at practice the other day. And some of the commentary was like, if you ask these guys right now about that coaching change, they're still kind of reluctant to even go down that path in a conversation on camera, off camera, on the record, off the record. To you as a former player and now a member of the media cast, like, what does that indicate to you?
It indicates that they feel it's on them.
Right.
Yep. That not on the coaching staff, that they feel that it wasn't the coaches that were the problem. It wasn't like because again, not much has changed in terms of systems. It's the execution and the quality of play, and they know that it's on them. So yeah, they're not going to broach it. You know, maybe in the summer off season, maybe they'll unpack that a little bit more, depending on how the rest of the year goes. But yeah, you're not going to squeeze much out of them on that in interviews. Not right now.
All right, Cass, we have a couple more minutes with you. Hopefully we get some post-game audio. Trev says still nothing coming. And when we do get something, we will play it for you. The Oilers defeat the Carolina Hurricanes 6-1. Final shots on goal. They adjusted it 40-34 in favor of the Canes. That does happen on the NHL website from time to time. So I want to float a couple of texts to you, Cass, which this one I think is like, yeah, good point. Comes in, says, hey, boys, when was the last time 97 started on the bench at the start of a game, of course, and then came on the ice with the team leading 1-0? And then what happened today was he helped make it 2-0. And you talked about the read that Ekholm made off of that faceoff. And then the fact that they started the third line, Cass, and trusted the third line against the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, Is Knobloch just playing a hunch, or what led to that?
I think
decision?
a little bit. I think the hunch was this, which is why I was like, oh, that's interesting. But also, I think a good thing is you had a player that hadn't scored in a really long time, and you got him that empty net goal. You trusted him enough to be out there at the end of a game. And now you're saying to him, I'm going to trust you enough to start you the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you finished the game, and I know he wasn't right at the end, but you finished the game. You got an empty net goal to seal it for us. I'm going to put you out here to start.
Right.
And I mean, that's a motivating thing. And hey, they came out flying. A great forecheck by Fogle to dig that puck out and moves it to the front of the net. And McLeod goes to the front, which is an area at times he has been a little tentative to go.
Correct.
So I loved it. Is that a coaching thing? I think a little bit. Yeah. Was that a great decision by Knobloch? I think so. Yeah. Yep. So just putting a little bit of trust, giving them a little bit of leash, and they rewarded you for it.
We got a text says that Merce Lankins has been put on IR. I'm looking for that. Do you see it anywhere?
No.
All right. Well, if it is, we could put that stuff to rest, right? All right. Let's take a look ahead to the next game as Cass is going to roll out. And it was a little bit of a later game with the 7:30 start. The Oilers making the most of the quick start for sure, building up a nice 4-goal lead in the first, 5-0 by the end of the second, and then ultimately a 6-1 decision. All right. So you do have the Minnesota Wild coming into town as you continue the 6-game homestand, Cass. It hasn't been completely rosy for the Minnesota Wild this season. They brought in John Hines after getting rid of Dean Evison not long ago, a week and a half ago. They've won 4 straight, 4-4-2 in their last 10. They have a 9-10-4 record. They're looking better since their coaching change. What do you anticipate? How do the Oilers go about business on Friday?
Well, you need to go about business the exact same way. And it's interesting because I think it was another situation where it probably wasn't the coaching that was the issue. But you had to do something. You do something, and you know, they've stringed together a couple wins in a row, which is great for the Minnesota Wild. You know, not as good for Edmonton. You're still, you know, trying to really, I guess you have almost caught them, you know, being a point back now of the Minnesota Wild with no games in hand. So you're right there with them. You know, I expect you to play it like a playoff game. This is a team that you are in a race for a wild card spot with, and they are coming in feeling pretty good about themselves, winning 4 in a row. So for you know, whatever you said to yourself to start this game in terms of preparation, it needs to be the same. It really does. It needs to be the same. That attitude, that mentality of just going out, scoring first, and staying with that foot on the gas pedal needs to keep going. What do I expect from Minnesota? Well, they're not. I wouldn't say they're as aggressive as the Carolina Hurricanes, but they generally do like to play that higher pressure type defense. You know, that again, not overly physical necessarily forecheck, but that aggressive forecheck where they try to put you under pressure and try to force you into making mistakes. So from Edmonton, I mean, you're going to have to do more of the same, which is, you know, try to score first to open up the game a little bit. And in the defensive zone, when you are under pressure, is just making those calm plays under pressure, making sure you're making right decisions with the puck. And if you're giving up something, you're not giving up grade A's. So they've done a good job of it the last little bit on the winning streak here for Edmonton, but so has Minnesota. So it could be a fun one. 2 teams that are streaking, and someone's going to not be streaking anymore after Friday.
A streak will end on Friday. The Oilers with a 5-game heater, the Wild with a 4-game heater. Both teams under a new coaching regime. Cass, fantastic as always, my friend. Welcome to Casa Gazzola, the new one, and look forward to catching up with you on Friday, my friend.
Absolutely. And as I said, I was shockingly surprised and very pleased with how clean it was. Extremely clean.
Thank you. Both of my parents are the same way. They're very everything needs to be neat and tidy, and they would say that I'm
just because it's not me. As my wife would say frequently, she's just like, I don't know what you would do without me. You would just live in a pigsty. And I'm like, yeah, probably. Yeah, it's not me. Man, so it impresses me so much because I'm like, wow, like he's doing really good here. This is awesome.
I try. Otherwise, I catch crap from my parents. But I do need to get stuff on the wall. My mom said I can't put any of the. I showed you all the pictures and jerseys that I have that I cannot put, according to my mom, on the main area, which I painted. And so my office / studio, that can have it, but I need to paint this as well. I gave you the tour, but thank you,
it's a sweet tour. You know what? The memorabilia will go up in that room or where it can, and it's pretty awesome. So I look forward to more times at Shea Gazzola.
Yes, and we'll have some 6 o'clock loggers to enjoy in that time. Cass, great stuff as always, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
That is our game analyst, Matt Kassian, helping us break down the 6-1 Oilers victory. YouTube, Trev, you handling things okay back there? Everything okay at HQ?
Yeah, everything's good. As soon as he left, they just uploaded their first interview with Warren Fogle. So I'll get that going in 3 minutes here.
Okay, so
if
we'll
that
have
works.
that in 3 minutes. Yeah, that works. I was going to throw to you for the player of the game, but we can wait. Let's get to some text, 780-218-9999, or via the nasty chat to those of you who stuck around. We appreciate it. It is getting later in the night as the Oilers win it 6-1 over the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's see here. Ahmed says to get a wild card spot, they're going to get home ice advantage. Book it. So Ahmed is feeling good about the Oilers. A lot of work left to be done, but lots of runway to work with in that time, Ahmed, for sure. Connor F. says, who comes out when Holloway is back? Sam and Hamlin both look decent. I just have a feeling, Connor, that it probably is a Sam Gagner or an Adam Ernie that probably pops out. I think Hamlin has been earning his keep for sure this season. This one from MGD8862. One thing I have liked is that the D-men don't seem to look lost or confused about where to be or what to do. They seem to be more confident. MGD, absolutely. That is good to see. And then let's go to this one. No, we'll actually just go back into the inbox. 780-218-9999. This text says, Minnie and New Jersey will be good games, but I am most excited to see McDavid versus Bedard next Tuesday. That should be excellent to see. Bedard, he's doing all right. And anytime the first overall pick comes into town, you want to check things out. And whenever it's McDavid, remember how much of a big deal we would make over McDavid and Crosby going head to head. Now it's the next guy in Connor Bedard. He'll get his first chance to take a crack at Connor McDavid. So that'll be neat to see for sure. This homestand could be a good one for the Oilers as well. Lots of potential to make some hay in the standings. Trev, how are we doing?
Warren Fogle is ready. I was just going to say.
All right, let's go to Warren Fogle. Here we go. Post-game, Warren Fogle picked up a goal tonight on a breakaway, tucked in a nasty, greasy breakaway goal.
Some trust in you guys to do that, and you end up scoring. What does that mean to you to do that?
Yeah, it's huge. It's kind of what you said, trust. When you get that trust, you don't want to let it go, right? So for us, our line, we knew to have a good start, and I find when we do start, we usually, are always in the ozone or something like that. So it was kind of nice to, keep that going.
You played like a team tonight that wanted to leave zero doubt that what happened before was real and you were going to be able to pick up where you left off. Is that fair?
Yeah, I thought it was a real mature effort tonight. We pot 2 goals quick and then we stayed with it. We weren't cheating for offense after that lead, and just solid checking by the whole team. And to win this league, you got to hold leads, and it was nice that we did that.
Seemed like the complete opposite game than the one in Raleigh a couple weeks ago. What has changed for this team?
I think we're just playing simple. We're getting pucks behind their D, taking it to the net. We're communicating out there. It's nice to keep this streak going, and hopefully we can continue that.
What did you like about Matthias Janmark on your line tonight?
Yeah, super smart player. I don't think he gets enough credit here. His details are they're sharp. So you definitely notice that. All the guys knows that, but when you play with him, you notice those details, and there's a massive block there. It's 4-0 game, and those are details that I'm talking about. That helps us win games, and huge play by him.
Good relief for you to bury one on a breakaway.
Yeah, I've had a couple this year, so it was nice to get one, and hopefully more to come.
What do you think about Stewart tonight?
Solid, just super composed. When we had that lead, they were pressing us a bit there, and I thought he was real calm back there, and when he's calm, all of us notice that, and we just keep staying to the same script.
There you go. There's Warren Fogle picking up a goal and an assist. 2-point night for Warren. +2 as well. One shot and 50% on the dot. So he took a face-off for 2. 13:30 time on ice for the veteran Oilers winger, and scoring against his old team as well. Let's see if there's anything in the nasty chat before we get to Zack Hyman. Zedmo says, Hyman with the Hattie. Wish we had a whole line of Hymans. Yes, excellent player. Saw a text earlier saying, I bet the Leafs are disappointed. Yes, every time Zack Hyman has a big night, I'm sure Leafs fans and the Leafs themselves are sorry that they let him go. All right, where are we at, YouTube, Trev?
Hymes is ready. Yep,
right,
he's ready.
Yep.
Zach, like right from the beginning, just really a focus on picking up where you left off.
Yeah, I thought McLeod's line started the game off and statement, right? And I thought they were amazing the whole game. So that really gets the team started. Goal in the first shift, and then obviously we followed up with another one. And then you're up 2-0 before you blink, so that makes the game a lot easier. Especially coming off a long break, you wanted to get started quick, and I thought we did.
There was no rust. Like I know we talked a little bit about that. It was just you guys were so jacked to get back playing. It'd been such a long time, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like I said, the start helps a lot, right? Like guys who are ready to go out there and play even with a little bit of a layoff. So just a huge start, and then obviously we were able to settle in, and I thought Stu made some big saves, and yeah, that was a great team win.
When you're getting contributions from Fogle, from McLeod, from Yanmark, is it kind of like just a build-up thing, like when everyone's kind of going, or is everyone going and kind of just resonates through the lineup?
Yeah, I think there's obviously individual confidence. I think there's team confidence. I think that you can kind of build off of both, and the team's doing well. It gives you time to find your game, and I thought those guys were fantastic. The whole line was unbelievable tonight, and like I said, set the tone from the start of the game, and they chipped in throughout the whole game.
You guys, you got 5 in a row here, and 8 out of 11, I think. Like, the situation in the standings is a lot better than it was before. What does this stretch sort of mean to your group right now?
I think it's calming, right? I think we're just focused on, we're not at scoreboard watching or looking at the standings right now. Like, it's so early. We've kind of been in a position, since I've been here at least, where we've always been kind of battling first half of the year, and obviously this year more so than years past. But I think it's just calming to get back on track, to get back to the team that we know we can be, and I think there's still room for us to grow and build, and it's just great to find our team confidence again and play like this, and we're going to continue to do it.
Zach, aside from confidence, can you pinpoint 1 or 2 things that you feel as a group have changed since that last time you guys played Carolina a couple weeks ago?
Sure, I think just a commitment to limiting turnovers and errors. We talk about mental mistakes, and those are always going to be in the game. Like, you're trying to make plays out there. Errors happen, but I think limiting them, and if there's a 50-50, maybe you don't take it, right? I think understanding when to take risk. I think we've limited risk in our game. I think our line rushes against have been way better. That was something that plagued us, and that has to do with turnovers a little bit, but also a commitment to tracking back with our forwards, and a commitment to holding lines with our DE. So, and then I think Stu. I think Stu has really stepped up, and really taken a hold of the net and just played phenomenal. That's really what it is. So it's great for our team to have him playing like that.
Do you think that what you guys have been through here, and I know it's still early, you got a long way to go, but like, you guys were a good team for a long time, and then suddenly you just weren't for a while. Like, it's been a bit sobering for you guys. You don't take for granted that it's just going to be there in a different way now?
For sure, and I think it's amplified when it happens at the beginning of the year, right? And we put so much time and commitment into doing things right, and obviously it just didn't work in the beginning of the year. And I think I said it throughout the whole stretch, is we're very confident in our team and our ability to play up to our standard, and I think we're getting back on track, and it's great. I mean, it's great for the team.
You've had a couple of really good offensive years personally. Is this the best you've ever felt offensively in this league?
Yeah, I think just for me, like, I try to get better every year. It's just, it's pretty simple, but just try to work on things that I need to work on, and So, I mean, I play with pretty good players too. So, I mean, Connor set me up pretty nicely for the third one, and then Nuge, gave me a nice play for the second one. So, you got to have great, line mates to be able to produce, and fortunate to play with two of the best.
So how about the first one though?
Yeah, just take it in that, right? I think that's kind of part of my game, and kind of building off of that and trying to, not just take it in that, but try to score and make plays. And I think I've been growing that part of my game since I got in the league.
All right, there you go. There's Zack Hyman with another hat trick. Big night for him. And I like how he gave credit to that third line getting the goal early in the game to get the party started. So well said there by Hyman, who had another very strong night, a couple of really nice goals. Obviously capitalizing on some nice passes as well. That McDavid feed was a thing of beauty. And you know what? Team effort, group effort, and they get the job done. And Hyman with the Hattie. All right. Some business to attend to before we say goodnight. And it's time now for the player of the game, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Had a chance to see. I ran into Damon today at the game. He's like, I didn't want to go. Wednesday night, it's the Hurricanes. The Canes could have doused the Oilers with some cold water on this hot streak. But his wife, Leanne, said, we got to go to the game. And sure enough, he and Leanne made the right decision. So player of the game brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Damon, consistent, top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current one. He's community driven. He understands what it takes to make a big difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. YouTube, Trev, do the honors, please, and thank you.
Right on. How the heck are we doing tonight, Nasty Chat? YouTube Trev has entered the chat.
It's nasty.
It is nasty, 100%.
It's good today, though.
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. I like the conversations that we're going through. So, the Damon Bunting, player of the game. A lot of honorable mentions. Connor McDavid, obviously, he's going to be in the conversation whenever he looks like how he did tonight. It was just insane. Oh man, he could have. What was it? I think he had 3 assists tonight, but he could have very well had like 2 goals on that as well. So super impressive. Connor McDavid is an honorable mention, but anytime you get a hat trick, you're going to win. You're going to get the Damon Bunting player of the game 100%. It's kind of cool. Zack Hyman, he never got a hat trick, which is kind of crazy in Toronto. With you talk about he was just talking about playing with star-studded players. He was able to play with Mitch Marner, John Tavares for a little bit, Austin Matthews, and he never was able to get a hat trick. But now he's got a hat trick of hat tricks in the orange and blue here in Edmonton, which is pretty cool. This is his 3rd hat trick as an Oiler. So 3 goals tonight, +4, 7 shots on net. Sorry, excuse me. His first goal there was probably one of the nicest goals I've ever seen him score. So it was right up there. He's got a few, but that one, just the nice flip back pass, he passed it to himself, and then it was silky smooth. So Zack Hyman, you are 100% the Damon Bunting player of the game. Atta be Zach.
Well done, YouTube, Trev. There you go. Hyman, the Damon Bunting player of the game. All right, that's going to do it for the Oil Stream postgame show. Edmonton picking up a 5th straight victory, 6-1 over the Carolina Hurricanes. A little bit of redemption for what happened in Carolina a couple of weeks ago, and the Oil will look to make it 6 in a row when they welcome the Minnesota Wild to town. The Wild, with John Hynes behind the bench, relieving Dean Evison of his head coaching duties last week, and they are getting that new coach bump as well. So it should be an interesting game on Friday night, 7 o'clock face-off. We are on the air with the Oil Stream pregame show at 5:30 p.m. And with that, we will say goodnight for YouTube, Trev, and Matty Kassian. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for tuning in. Thank you for texting in. Thank you for watching and listening. We appreciate you, nasties, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Ciao for now.